Before we begin, let me ask you something. If I told you that 7 giants once ruled the ancient world, and that almost all of them were destroyed, would you want to know who fell, who burned, and which ones survived the ages? Stay with me, because today we uncover the fate of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. This is The Immortals, where legends never die. Subscribe and take your place in the ranks of legends. Across ancient history, some wonders spark awe, and others spark questions. Before we uncover how these giants fell, we have to confront the myths that surround them. So let's begin with a wonder shrouded in uncertainty, one whose story blurs the line between reality and legend. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon, the wonder that might never have existed. Let's begin with the most elusive wonder of them all, the one that has haunted historians for centuries. Ancient writers described the Hanging Gardens as an impossible paradise rising above the desert. Terraced platforms overflowing with palms, cedars, figs, and flowers from distant lands. They said water flowed from the top down like a shimmering waterfall, fed by an ingenious irrigation system that defied the brutal heat of Mesopotamia. A living mountain built by human hands, a feat so advanced it seemed almost mythical. But here's the real mystery. Babylon, one of the greatest cities ever built, has revealed no trace of them. Not a wall, not a terrace, not a single stone. And that's strange because Babylon's ruins preserve palaces, temples, ceremonial gates. Even the foundations of the great ziggurat some believe inspired the story of the Tower of Babel. Yet the gardens, supposedly one of the city's grandest achievements, leave nothing behind. No inscription, no tablet, no royal boast from a king who would have proudly claimed it. And that's puzzling, because ancient authors like Berossus and Diodorus Siculus say they were built by King Nebuchadnezzar II around 600 BCE, supposedly as a gift to his wife Amytis of Media, who missed the green mountains of her homeland. According to the legend, he created the gardens to ease her homesickness, an act of royal devotion on a monumental scale. But Babylon's archaeological silence makes this tale suspicious. So what happened? Some historians believe earthquakes destroyed the structure, collapsing its terraces and burying it beneath the shifting layers of the city. Others argue it may have been dismantled during Persian or Seleucid occupations, its stones repurposed as Babylon changed hands again and again. But the most provocative theory? The gardens might not have been in Babylon at all. A growing number of scholars connect the descriptions to Nineveh, capital of the Assyrian Empire, where King Sennacherib, a century earlier, around 700 BCE, built advanced aqueducts, water-lifting machines, and terraced gardens that match ancient accounts far more closely than anything attributed to Nebuchadnezzar. Sennacherib even boasted in his inscriptions of creating a wonder for all peoples. If that's true, then the Hanging Gardens of Babylon were never Babylonian, just a wonder misattributed by time. So here's the question. A wonder that inspired poets for 2,000 years. Was it a masterpiece lost to time? A case of mistaken identity? Or the greatest historical myth ever written? Tell me in the comments, do you think the Hanging Gardens ever truly existed? Or have we been chasing a legend? The Temple of Artemis, the masterpiece burned by human vanity. Prepare yourself, because this story doesn't just shock you, it infuriates you. The Temple of Artemis at Ephesus wasn't just a building. It was the masterpiece of the ancient Greek world, a sanctuary so enormous and so perfect that even ancient travelers, the same ones who saw the pyramids, called it the most beautiful structure ever built. Its construction began around 550 BCE, funded by King Croesus of Lydia, the wealthiest ruler of his age. He rebuilt an earlier shrine and transformed it into a colossal monument of white marble, dedicated to Artemis, the protector of Ephesus. For the people, she wasn't just a goddess. She was their identity. The temple stood on a vast platform with more than 100 towering columns, each carved with intricate reliefs. Some stood over 18 meters tall, so impressive that sculptors signed their names on the bases, something rare in the ancient world. Many believed the very proportions of the building reflected sacred geometry tied to Artemis herself. And then came the man who destroyed it all. His name was Herostratus, a nobody desperate for fame. On the night of July 21st, 356 BCE, he slipped inside the temple and set it on fire, watching the marble beams crack and collapse. His motive? One sentence: he wanted his name to be remembered. The Ephesians were so enraged they banned his name under penalty of death. They even created a law specifically to prevent others from seeking notoriety through destruction. But historians recorded it anyway, turning his crime into one of the earliest cases of fame through infamy. Yet the people refused to let the wonder die. They rebuilt the temple, bigger and even more magnificent. For centuries, it stood as a pilgrimage center for kings, scholars, and travelers from across the Mediterranean, even attracting early Roman admiration. But in 262 CE, the Goths raided Ephesus and destroyed it again, looting what they could. Later, earthquakes shattered what remained, and Christian zealots dismantled the surviving stones. By the Middle Ages, the wonder had vanished. Today, only a single lonely column rises from the marshes, a ghost of a glory the world once admired. So tell me, is Herostratus remembered because he succeeded, or because humanity allowed greatness to disappear? Should his name survive, or be erased forever? The statue of Zeus at Olympia, the god who died in fire. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine stepping into a silent temple lit only by flickering torches, and seeing Zeus, king of the gods, seated on a golden throne, nearly 13 meters tall, so lifelike ancient visitors swore he breathed. Now imagine that same figure, swallowed by fire. The statue of Zeus was crafted around 435 BC by Phidias, the greatest sculptor of ancient Greece. He built it to honor Zeus as guardian of the Olympic Games, and to elevate Olympia as the spiritual center of the Greek world. Using the stunning chryselephantine technique, a blend of ivory and gold over a wooden frame, Phidias created a masterpiece so powerful that some believed simply looking at it brought a taste of divinity. But its destiny was tragic. Did you know the statue was so huge that if Zeus stood up, his head would punch through the temple's ceiling? That's how intentionally overwhelming it was. The temple itself struggled against time. Earthquakes cracked its foundations, and the swampy ground made humidity a constant enemy. When the Roman Empire absorbed Greece, Olympia lost prestige, and the once sacred temple entered slow decay. To preserve the statue, Roman officials ordered it relocated to Constantinople, the rising capital of the Eastern Roman Empire, sometime in the 4th century AD. Imagine teams of engineers dismantling sacred walls, guiding the massive figure through ports, and loading it onto ships as crowds watched the god of Olympia vanish over the horizon. But the fires came. The first devastating blaze struck in Constantinople, consuming the palace that housed the statue. The Lausos collection. Ancient sources describe an inferno around 475 AD that devoured priceless relics from across the empire. Some reports even hint that the statue suffered earlier fire damage during transport, meaning Zeus may have been wounded twice before disappearing entirely. Each burn erased a piece of the wonder until nothing remained but memory, rumor, and awe. One of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, gone in a single night, not conquered, not dismantled, simply extinguished by flame, as if Zeus himself dissolved into the smoke of history. If you could witness only one ancient wonder in person, would it be Zeus or another one? Tell me in the comments. The Mausoleum at Halicarnassus, a tomb that defied time, but not the earth. Some monuments are so extraordinary, they rename history itself. This is one of them. Imagine a tomb so majestic, so impossibly elaborate, that every monumental burial built afterward, no matter the culture, no matter the century, was named after it. Mausoleums exist because of one man and one building. The Mausoleum of Halicarnassus, final resting place of Mausolus, ruler of Caria. The story begins around 353 BC, when Mausolus died, and his sister wife, Artemisia II, vowed to create a tomb unlike anything the ancient world had ever seen. She summoned the greatest architects and sculptors of the Greek world: Satyros, Pythios, Scopas, Bryaxis, Leocharis, and Timotheus, a dream team whose works defined classical art. Their goal: turn Mausoleum into a legend. They designed a structure that fused cultures: a massive Ionic colonnade, a soaring pyramid roof, and a colossal marble chariot at the top with Mausolus commanding the reins. It rose over 45 meters, gleaming in the sun above Halicarnassus, like a mountain of carved ivory. Ancient travelers said the craftsmanship was so delicate, the sculptures seemed ready to step out of the stone. Did you know Artemisia drank her husband's ashes mixed with wine to keep him alive within her? Yes, this wonder began with a love story as dramatic as its design. For centuries, the mausoleum stood undefeated. It survived invasions, fires, and even the decay that toppled lesser wonders. Medieval travelers still described it as awe-inspiring long after most ancient monuments had fallen. But then came the enemy no kingdom can resist: the earth itself. From the 12th to the 15th century, a series of violent earthquakes shattered the structure. First, the roof collapsed, then the colonnade twisted. Then the sculptures fell like toppled giants. By the time the Knights of St. John arrived in the region in the 1400s, the mausoleum was already a broken shell, and what remained, they took. The Knights dismantled its marble blocks and reused them to fortify the castle of St. Peter, a medieval stronghold that still stands in Bodrum today. Some pieces of the wonder can still be seen embedded in its walls, like ghosts of a lost world trapped in stone. A masterpiece built to defy time, reduced to building material. If Mausolus could see his tomb now, scattered, repurposed, half-buried, would he feel dishonored or proud that his name still defines every grand tomb on earth? The Colossus of Rhodes, the giant who lived only a moment. Some wonders ruled for centuries. This one barely lived long enough to be remembered. The Colossus of Rhodes was born from victory. In 305 BC, Rhodes survived the massive siege of Demetrius Poliorcetes, who retreated in frustration, leaving behind towering siege towers and abandoned war engines. Instead of destroying them, the Rhodians sold the metal and used the profit to celebrate their miraculous survival. They chose to immortalize their triumph by honoring their patron deity, the sun god Helios, whose favor they believed had protected the island. They commissioned Chares of Lindos, a student of the famed sculptor Lysippos, and construction began around 292 BC. Over 12 years, Chares designed an iron and stone skeleton clad in hammered bronze plates. When completed, the statue rose more than 32 meters, making it one of the tallest creations of the ancient world. To sailors approaching the harbor, it must have looked like Helios himself had risen from the sea. But glory is fragile. In 226 BC, just 66 years after its completion, Rhodes was struck by a devastating earthquake. The ground heaved, the statue's knees buckled, and the Colossus collapsed in a roar of bronze and dust. Ancient writers said its fallen pieces were so massive that few men could wrap their arms around a single finger. And then came the strangest part. They never rebuilt it. The oracle at Delphi warned that the destruction was a sign from Helios, and rebuilding the statue would defy the god's will. The Rhodians obeyed, choosing caution over pride, even though engineers from across Greece offered to restore it without cost. For nearly 9 centuries, the ruins lay where they fell. Travelers from across the Mediterranean came to marvel at the twisted bronze plates, the hollow interiors, and the giant's broken face staring at the sky. But its final chapter was tragic. Around 654 AD, during the Arab invasion of Rhodes, the shattered Colossus was reportedly sold for scrap metal to a merchant from Edessa. Ancient accounts claim he needed 900 camels to carry it away. Though that number may be exaggerated, the symbolism is clear. A titan of the ancient world reduced to cargo on a trade route. A wonder born from victory, destroyed by nature, and erased by time. If the Colossus were rebuilt today, using modern engineering, do you think it should rise over the harbor once again, or should a fallen wonder remain a legend? The Lighthouse of Alexandria, the light that ruled the sea. Some wonders reached for the heavens. This one guided the world. Rising from the island of Pharos, The Lighthouse of Alexandria was more than a beacon. It was a proclamation of power, commissioned around 280 BC by Ptolemy I Soter, and completed under his son Ptolemy II. It was designed by the Greek architect Sostratus of Cnidus, who cleverly carved his own name into the stone beneath a plaster dedication to the king, ensuring his authorship would survive through time. Built to guide ships safely into the bustling harbor of Alexandria, one of the greatest ports of the ancient world, the lighthouse stood an estimated 100 to 130 meters tall, making it one of the tallest human-made structures on Earth for centuries. Ancient sailors called it the miracle on the sea. Its 3 tiers, square, octagonal, and cylindrical, rose like a stacked crown, topped with a massive statue, likely of either Zeus or Poseidon. But its most astonishing feature was its light. By day, polished bronze mirrors reflected the sun across the waves. By night, a roaring fire blazed atop the tower, visible for miles. Some said over 50 kilometers, though that may be legend. To captains navigating treacherous waters, it must have felt like the gods themselves were illuminating the way. Then came the slow destruction. For centuries, the lighthouse endured storms, wars, and shifting empires, but nature was relentless. A series of catastrophic earthquakes struck Alexandria in 956, 1303, and 1323 AD, each one tearing away parts of the Great Tower. First the upper section collapsed, then the middle, until only a broken stump remained. By the late Middle Ages, the lighthouse, once the pride of the Mediterranean, was reduced to rubble beneath the sea. But its story didn't end there. In the 15th century, the Mamluk Sultan Qaitbay ordered the construction of a fortress on the same site. Builders retrieved massive limestone blocks from the fallen lighthouse and incorporated them into the foundations of the citadel of Qaitbay, which still stands today. Imagine it, one of the greatest wonders of the ancient world reincarnated as a medieval fortress. From a beacon of the seas, to silent underwater ruins, to the bones of a new stronghold. Yet divers exploring the harbor in modern times have found huge stone blocks and statues scattered across the seabed, ghosts of the pharaohs, still resting beneath the waves. If the Lighthouse of Alexandria were rebuilt today exactly as it once stood, do you think it would reclaim its title as the greatest lighthouse ever created? Or should a wonder lost to nature remain beneath the sea? Look closely. There's a pattern. Some wonders burned, others fell to wars, and many were shattered by earthquakes, the one enemy no empire could defeat. These weren't weak monuments, they were giants, but the world changed, the earth moved, and even the greatest creations of humankind eventually bowed to time. Yet something survived beyond their ruins: inspiration. Those fallen wonders shaped temples, fortresses, palaces, and legends. They proved humanity could build things so extraordinary. They almost felt impossible. But here's the real question. What's worse, watching a wonder be destroyed, or never knowing if it truly existed? History is full of mysteries, lost cities, and vanished monuments. But among all those doubts, one giant remains undeniable. One wonder did not fall. One monument still rises above the sands, untouched by fire, war, or the shaking earth. So tell me, are you ready to face the last survivor? The oldest, the most precise, the most mysterious. The Great Pyramid of Giza, the last wonder standing. And here it is, the survivor, the last giant of the ancient world. The Great Pyramid of Giza. Picture this for a moment. Every other wonder burned, collapsed, or vanished. But this one? It has stood tall for 4,500 years, untouched by storms, empires, conquerors, and time itself. While the world changed, it simply watched. It is attributed to Pharaoh Khufu, king of Egypt's 4th dynasty. Construction date: around 2580 BCE. Official purpose: a royal tomb that would secure Khufu's immortality in the afterlife. But ask yourself, does this look like a normal tomb? What tomb needs 2.3 million stone blocks, some weighing 70 tons? What tomb is built with such precision that its base deviates by less than half a meter across 230 meters? What tomb aligns almost perfectly with the cardinal points, encodes astronomical ratios, and still puzzles engineers and mathematicians today? And consider this, laborers didn't use slaves. They were skilled workers organized in rotating crews, eating well, cared for, leaving evidence of villages built just to sustain them. This was not just construction. It was a massive social and logistical achievement. Originally, the pyramid shone like a beacon, covered in white Tura limestone, polished to reflect the sun like a mirror. It could have been seen from miles away. Sailors approaching the Nile Delta may have thought the desert itself was glowing. Its interior chambers, the King's Chamber, the Grand Gallery, and hidden voids discovered by modern scans reveal a complexity far beyond a simple burial. So here's the question. Did it survive because it was flawless, or because it holds a secret still beyond our understanding? Every excavation, every scan, every new theory only deepens the mystery. While the other wonders succumbed to fire, war, and earthquakes, the Great Pyramid endured, a colossal testament to human vision, engineering, and ambition. Older than most civilizations, yet still standing as the ultimate proof that humanity can create something that defies time itself. When everything else falls, one truth remains carved in stone. History, when it chooses to, never dies. What do you think Khufu intended beyond a tomb? A cosmic map? A message for the ages? Or a secret we have yet to decode? And that's the story of the ancient wonders, and the one that has endured through time. If you enjoyed this journey through history, give this video a like, leave your thoughts in the comments, and don't miss our next adventure. Top 10 Mythological Warriors in History, now available on the channel. Stay curious. The past is full of giants waiting to be discovered.